I don't know where we're going to go from here. I do have a prepared message, but I don't know what the Lord is going to do. I'm so glad that we're in his house. I'm glad to be in the house of the Lord. This particular text, and I'll share this with you as we get ready to move on briefly, and I guess we'll be on our way shortly. But this particular text deals with when Jacob left home. He had just stole his brother's birthright, and he had departed, and he was on his journey, going to a destined place with a purpose and a plan in his heart, that which he knew very little about. He was just walking, and his steps were being ordered by God. He had fooled his brother. They called him the trickster. He had fooled his brother, and he had taken his brother's birthright. That's like taking someone's inheritance from their father or from their mother. If one were to die, and somehow or another you had a brother who took your portion of the inheritance, and when he did that, he left. The birthright had something particular to do with somehow another being in authority and in charge, and he took that from his brother, and he decided to leave because he thought that his brother would be angry, and rightfully so. His brother not understanding why his daddy gave his younger brother the birthright, but he thought maybe it was because he had married someone who was outside of their faith. And Esau decided to marry someone that was inside the faith, hoping that that would get him back into his father's good graces. But sometimes when people are carnal-minded, they oftentimes make those kinds of mistakes. They have good ideas, but they don't have God ideas. They have ideas, they run and they flow, but if you're carnal, you got to understand that anything that comes up out of you is going to be carnal like you are. And if you really want God to speak to you, you've got to prepare yourself so that he can speak to you. Many times we hear voices and we don't know whether it's the voice of God or whether it's our own voice speaking to us. But you've got to know God for yourself. Not because mama knew him or daddy knew him, but you got to know him for yourself. And Esau, because he has somehow or another had not followed the faith as he should have, he messed up with his birthright. He was the kind of person that somehow or another was more natural than spiritual. You know how some folk are. They do come to church. They do get involved from time to time. And they may go to the church's golf tournament or the basketball tournament. They may do some things of that nature, but they really are not spiritual. And in order to understand a God who is spirit, you've got to have his spirit to understand him. The Bible talks about that Jacob somehow or another was one of the individuals who was a little more spiritual than his brother. And because he was, God began to deal with him a little bit differently. He had followed his mother's instruction in taking the birthright because the mother was following a prophecy. Because when the twins were born, somehow or another, God spoke to her and said that the elder shall serve the younger. So she was actually following prophecy. And she followed that prophecy. And because his brother was a little rough and tough, he decided to leave town. On his way out of town, the Bible here picks up the text where we are right now. And as he somehow or another got tired because God was sending him, first of all, to a far country. Sometimes God got to send you out from among your kindred. Sometimes we can't particularly follow God like we should because we are too connected to too many folk, and too many folk know too much about us. And many times we don't have the ability to rise above your past. But God can help you rise above that if you let him. It is a miraculous thing to be able to see somebody who was once on drugs, once messed up, and once crazy, and watch them right in front of your face change with the power of God, washed in the blood of Jesus Christ. Used to do a whole lot of stuff, but now their mind is stayed on Jesus. It's an amazing thing to see somebody who was just out all night long doing everything they wanted to do, but when they got saved, God did something on the inside of them. Sometimes you need to stay where you are so God can use you, but every once in a while, when God has a mission for you, he will send you into a far country. Now, a far country may not particularly be your locale in the physical. It could be your locale in the spiritual, because God can send you way out there sometimes. He can send you to places others have not been or dared to go. Sometimes God will make you lose the denomination that you were connected with and send you to a far place. He will let you drop the ties that have been holding you back and send you to a far place. Every once in a while, he will do something in your life that will send you to a far place. Same address, same mailbox number, but you will be in a far place, a far country, out there on your own. Nobody understanding you like they used to understand you. Your friends drop off. Your relatives don't want to speak to you because God sent you to a far country. He sent you to a place where you don't do what you used to do and act like you used to act. When you go back home to the family reunions, you're in a far place. Nobody understands you but those others that are saved like you are. Every once in a while, he will send you to a far place. Are you listening to me? Sometimes God will take you up in the spirit, and I can hear Paul speaking to me. He said, over 14 years ago, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. Sometimes God will pick you up out of where you are and send you somewhere where you don't even understand where you are. God will send you to the third heaven where he reigns, and you'll see angels, and you'll see God, and you'll see the temple. You'll see all kinds of stuff. God can take you up higher. Look at somebody and say, let God take you higher.